100 years ago, the world changed forever when Spirit Kai revived, becoming its most fundamental and powerful energy. Under its influence, living creatures evolved in two different ways. The first was a wild, ancestral regression that greatly enhanced their physical power. The second path of evolution was spiritual mutation, which gave creatures the ability to use powerful energy-based attacks like fire, ice, and light. To adapt, humanity developed various spirit Kui professions, creating new roles like spirit beast observers and material analysts in this changed world. Daily life now included new problems, like getting bitten by spirit creatures, which also opened up new online markets and services. A young man with white hair lies on his bed scrolling through his phone, feeling disconnected from all the hustle and bustle of this new era. Nearby, a small creature's paw sweats, showing its discomfort from the intense heat. The creature, a 100 questions beast, named Smarty, flops onto the young man's leg, complaining to him that he's too hot. Trying to find a cooler spot, Smarty then climbs onto the youth's head, claiming he heard it was cooler in higher places. The young man, whose name is Lin Yuan, remains completely unimpressed by the cat's logic. Unfazed, the small cat makes his way to the window, determined to find a way to cool down. He successfully opens the window to let in a breeze, and then reminds Lin Yuan to take his medicine, to which the youth agrees. The scene briefly shifts to an outside view of their home, showing the open window from a distance. Back inside, Lin Yuan is now sweeping the floor. He's an 18-year-old who owns a small spirit creature shop, but for him, using spirit Ki is like a distant fairy tale. He has been frail since childhood, completely unable to sense spirit Ki since he was 8, which prevents him from getting stronger or contracting with spirit creatures. Lin Yuan checks on a small potted plant, a lily loira. He worries that the heat is causing it to wilt despite his efforts to protect it. He knows it's the lowest grade healing plant available, even less useful than the green creeper vines that are used for animal fodder. In this world, no one invests resources into raising low-grade spirit creatures because high-grade ones are much easier to evolve. Smarty chimes in, adding that in the last 100 years, no one has ever heard of a 100 questions beast like him evolving either. Just then, a small blue bird named Yin Yin flies in carrying medicine. The little creature calls out to Lin Yuan, who thanks her for the reminder. He reflects on his frail body, knowing just contracting with Smarty and Yin Yin left him dizzy for weeks, let alone being able to raise them with spirit Kui. An hour later, the shop is still empty. Lin Yuan and Smarty are slumped over the counter, looking incredibly bored with the lack of business. Smarty looks out at the quiet street, wondering why no one is around. Lin Yuan seems confused by his companion's observation. Trying to attract customers, the youth shouts from the doorway, advertising his green creepers to the few people walking in the distance. A mother and daughter pass by the shop. The girl, holding a calico cat, points out that she sees another 100 questions beast. Seizing the opportunity, Smarty sits up and cheerfully welcomes them, asking if they would like to buy some plants. The calico cat smugly comments on Smarty's dry fur, calling him a leftover. The insult leaves Smarty visibly shocked and offended. And Raj, the black cat's fur stands on end. He challenges the other 100 questions beast to a game of rock, paper, scissors to settle the matter. Lin Yuan picks him up to calm him down, reminding him he can't play the game with paws. He suggests a walk instead, and the cat asks about the shop. The youth says it's fine since they have no business anyway. As he closes the shutter, Smarty gets excited and asks to go buy some meat. The cat then claims that eating braised pork would make him smarter, ensuring he wouldn't have lost the earlier argument. His owner doesn't reply. Yin Yin tries to console the crying cat by saying that even though he isn't smart, at least he's cheap, but this only makes him feel worse. Lin Yuan sighs, wishing he could sense spirit Ki. At that moment, Smarty suddenly yells at him to look to his left. A blunt, armored pig has appeared nearby. The youth is stunned to see it in the park and wonders if something happened at the farm. Instead of seeing danger, Smarty's eyes light up as he sees a wild mountain of braised pork and happily leaps towards it. Lin Yuan quickly grabs his companion, warning him that he's trying to get himself killed because he's no match for the beast. The armored pig is furious. Lin Yuan is confused since these creatures are usually gentle and wonders what could have provoked it. The beast lets out a roar and charges straight towards them with incredible speed, its eyes glowing with rage. Lin Yuan immediately starts running, feeling exhausted from the effort. Yin flies alongside him, worriedly asking if he's okay. He continues to flee, his feet pounding against the pavement as he pushes himself to escape the rampaging creature right behind him. Lin Yuan stumbles but keeps a tight grip on Smarty as he tries to regain his balance, his body straining from the chase. Yin nervously offers to protect him, while Smarty bravely faces the armored pig, shouting for the braised pork to bring it on. But Lin Yuan knows his weak body is at its limit. He tells his companions to run, determined not to pass out. Suddenly, he's pulled into a bright, empty space, disoriented and wondering where he is. In this strange place, a new symbol appears in his eye, and he hears a voice calling his name. A glowing copper ring materializes in front of him, making him wonder what it could be. He instantly recognizes it as the ring he lost when he was 8, which vanished right after his blood touched it. As the golden energy swirls around him, it begins to flow into his body, creating a powerful sensation. He feels his connection to Spirit Kai returning, something he hasn't been able to sense since that fateful day 10 years ago. Back in reality, he falls to his knees but quickly pushes himself back up, his body now filled with a new energy. Smarty happily announces that Lin Yuan is awake, just as the enraged pig continues its charge toward them. Yin urges him to think of a plan, but the youth realizes the small amount of spirit ki he has isn't enough to do anything. The golden ring on his wrist begins to glow intensely, channeling a surge of power through him. With this new strength, a yellow light emits from his eyes, and he gains a new sense of clarity. He can now see all the details of the beast. It's a level 3 blunt armored pig, far stronger than his companions who aren't even level 1. Using his newfound perception, he shouts for Smarty to dodge, warning him that the pig is attacking from the right. The cat barely evades the attack, and Lin Yuan realizes the gap in their strength is still too massive to overcome. He knows he needs more power, wishing his companions were fully contracted to him to share their strength. As if responding to his thoughts, Yin starts glowing and charges at the pig, determined to protect Smarty. Lin Yuan notices the light on the bird is the same as the glow from his bracelet, and a new idea begins to form in his mind. He wonders if his companions are about to evolve because of the bracelet's mysterious power. The pig lets out another furious roar, its aggression completely unaffected by the glowing lights. While glowing, Smarty complains to Yin, asking why the pig's roar is so much louder than hers. Lin Yuan knows that even if they evolve, the power gap is still too big, so he starts searching for the pig's weak point. Smarty admits the braised pork is too strong, and a terrified Yin asks her master what they should do. The youth quickly formulates a plan. He tells Yin to sing as loudly as she can to distract the beast. The small bird takes a deep breath and begins to sing, though her tune is completely off, key, and chaotic. The sound is so terrible that it physically hurts Lin Yuan, who covers his ears, glad for his past experience with bad ringtones. The armored pig is also annoyed by the awful singing and turns its attention to the glowing bird, clearly irritated. Yin realizes she's just a distraction, but the beast is now focused on her, its eyes locked on the bird. Seeing his chance, Lin Yuan orders Yin to turn and attack the pig's eyes, hoping to blind it and stop its charge. The bird agrees and prepares to strike, ready to follow her master's command without hesitation. But just as she's about to attack, she realizes her special move is no longer working. At the same time, Lin Yuan collapses to his knees, his newfound spiritual power suddenly running out. He desperately clutches the bracelet, begging it to hold on for just a little longer. In response, a surge of energy flows from him to Yin, who feels her power returning. With renewed strength, the little bird unleashes a barrage of glowing feathers directly at the pig. The feathers strike the beast, creating an opening. Lin Yuan smirks and tells Smarty it's his chance to attack. Smarty confidently replies that he knows what to do and leaps into the air, his silhouette glowing with power. He lands a series of powerful slashes on the pig's nose, finally striking a critical blow. The injured pig finally turns and flees, unable to continue the fight after the combined assault. A dazed Smarty asks Lin Yuan if they won, and the youth confirms it, praising his companions for chasing the beast away. Just as he finishes speaking, he collapses, and his friends call out his name in alarm. Meanwhile, the injured armored pig continues to run, but a figure in a wheelchair blocks its path. The pig skids to a halt, stopping just short of the man and the woman standing beside him. The man in the wheelchair notes that he felt something was off, wondering why a blunt armored pig is here. The woman spots Yinyan's feathers on the pig and recognizes them as belonging to the bird from Lin Yuan's house. She decides to check on the young man and tells the man old Li to handle the situation here. He tells her to hurry. With his eyes glowing red, old Li apologizes to his cold pal, the pig, for the trouble he's about to cause. At the same time, Lin Yuan finds himself falling through a misty, white space once again. He lands in front of the giant, glowing ring, a place he has dreamed of for years. He notes that it's a bit late for this to be happening. Still, he thanks the ring for sharing its spiritual power with him during the crisis. The golden ring pulses with light, seemingly responding to his gratitude. He observes the space around him, estimating it to be about 50 square meters, and wonders if it's the internal space of a spirit creature. Looking at the bracelet on his wrist, he asks if this is its ability. The bracelet reveals its name Mobius, along with its skills. True Data reveals hidden information, and Calm Mind stabilizes his spirit. He is shocked to find it has an exclusive trait, something usually only seen in high-ranking bronze-level creatures. He reads the details of its exclusive trait, which allows it to house spirit creatures and level up alongside them, gaining their initial skills. He realizes this means he can only contract with a level 1, normal grade spirit beast, and Mobius will only level up when the beast does. The youth is dismayed, knowing that raising low-ranked beasts is incredibly expensive, and he's completely broke. Despite the financial challenge, he decides it's better than nothing. He can feel spiritual power now, which gives him hope that things might turn around. Back in the real world, he hears his neighbor, Auntie Zhang, asking a doctor why he hasn't woken up yet. He realizes it's time to leave his mental space. He opens his eyes to find his worried companions, Smarty and Yinyan, gently patting his face and calling his name, trying to wake him up. With a gentle smile, Lin Yuan reassures his pets that he's fine, stroking Smarty's head to calm the anxious creature down. He finds himself in a hospital room with Auntie Zhang and a doctor. The doctor, seeing he's awake, says he'll do another check-up, but the youth tries to refuse. Auntie Zhang gently scolds him, reminding him he was unconscious for nearly 10 hours and must get treated properly before a small issue becomes a big one. He agrees to the check-up, thinking about how his neighbors have always cared for him. He decides it's best not to tell them about Mobius just yet. The doctor summons a spirit creature, an elite-grade cleansing Vimba carp, to examine him. The fish possesses a rare skill that can soothe the mental trauma. After the checkup, the doctor confirms that everything looks fine and prepares to leave for dinner. Lin Yuan thanks him for his help. Just then, a white rabbit with red markings peeks into the room carrying a lunch box, announcing that dinner is ready. Auntie Zhang takes the meal from the rabbit and gives it to Lin Yuan, telling him that her husband, Uncle Li, made it just for him. The youth gratefully accepts the food. As he opens it, both Smarty and Yinyan get excited, recognizing the smell of braised pork. Auntie Zhang mentions that Uncle Li's terror rabbit has always been mysterious and quiet. She picks it up, offering Lin Yuan a closer look. Using his new ability, the youth scans the creature, but the data panel only shows a series of question marks for every single stat. He is stunned. His skill reveals the creature not only has 2 exclusive traits, but is not a terror rabbit at all. We see someone's feet running at a brisk pace, showing that the person is exercising. Then the protagonist stops, exhausted and breathless, saying to himself that he can't go on any longer. He leans against the wall and thinks that he ran for an hour every day, but the intensity is still too much for his body. At that moment, his neighbors appear with Uncle Li in a wheelchair, and Aunt Zhang greets him, asking if he is exercising. He smiles and flexes his arm, saying that he needs to stay healthy and strong. But using his skill, he scans his neighbor's leg and discovers that the source of the problem is tarsal gangrene. The analysis reveals that it is a biological toxin mixed with a mental curse, and he is shocked by what he sees. He realizes that the spiritual energy practitioner who did this must be at least king level and wonders if Uncle Lee's rabbit is also injured. Aunt Jang says goodbye and advises him to call if he needs anything, and the boy nods, telling them not to worry. Lin Yuan thinks about how Uncle Lee took care of him and his sister, and wishes he could find a way to heal his injuries. Back inside, he closes the door, still thoughtful about his neighbor's condition. Looking at a plant in a pot, he is surprised to see that it has evolved to an elite standard. A silhouette of him is shown as he wonders if his spiritual energy is being absorbed by the fairies in order to evolve. Determined, he decides to try again, but this time increasing the difficulty with a healing jasmine lily. After focusing its energy, the plant transforms into an elite, grade jasmine lily with healing abilities and a pleasant aroma. The protagonist smiles, because with this new ability the plant's value has increased at least tenfold. Excited, he runs upstairs, calling his companions Sound and Genius to wake up and see what happened. Her pets appear excited, and the bird says they think they've leveled up too. The cat, now known as the Beast of 100 Questions, shows that it can remember 30 pieces of pork instead of one. Your pet, in turn, also shows off its new attributes and sings happily, because its singing has improved greatly. With that, Lin Yuan hugs his pets and celebrates, saying that he has found their secret skill and that they will become rich. But he soon realizes that his ability is far more powerful than just a way to make money. One explanation suggests that the evolution of fairies is an incredibly difficult process that requires treasured materials and spiritual remedies. Furthermore, the probability of success in evolving fairies that have reached a critical level is still very low. The protagonist believes that while others spend fortunes, he can achieve all of this through his own power alone. He then becomes frightened at the thought that this shocking ability would attract greedy people if it were exposed. Therefore, he decides that to use his power safely, he needs to become a master of creation in disguise. At that moment, her pets bring her the ringing cell phone and let her know that her sister Little CI is calling. He answers the phone, and the girl asks worriedly how his health is, since they haven't spoken for 2 days. The young man reassures her, saying that he is much better and that he even plans to fix up his backyard. On the other end of the line, his sister is shocked to hear this and shouts, "What?" She argues with him, saying that her body wouldn't be able to handle cleaning the yard without an enhancement of her spiritual energy. Lin Yuan calms her down and tells her not to worry, reminding her of her promise to study and not waste her talent. The girl is silent for a moment and finally agrees with what he said. With a determined look, she promises herself that she will not disappoint her brother. The scene changes to a school, where a teacher talks about the importance of hiring the first fairy in the coming days. She explains that the quality and degree of the fairy are decisive, but the spiritual energy level of the practitioner is also crucial. The professor goes on to say that compatibility is different for each system, and a wrong contract can cause mental harm. We see Lin Yuan's sister in class, while the teacher emphasizes the importance of choosing a combat profession. At the end of class, a student says goodbye to the teacher. At the end of the class, the teacher approaches the protagonist's sister and asks her to wait a moment. The teacher questions her about the fairies she wants to hire, knowing her family's situation, but emphasizes her great talent. Meanwhile, back at his house, the protagonist finally finishes his work for the day. He stretches happily, having improved 3 more jasmine lilies to the elite grade, and rejoices that he can now help his sister. Suddenly, his cell phone rings, displaying an unknown number, and he wonders if it could be a new client. The young man answers the call casually, asking who is on the other end of the line. An angry voice asks if he is responsible for Chu Si and complains about her wanting a gray armored beetle. The young man is shocked because he knows that this is a very cheap, normal, grade fairy that only serves as food for others. The teacher explains that the girl has a rare affinity with defense type fairies and that she should have an elite grade 1. With a serious expression, Lin Yuan promises to send a suitable fairy in a few days and estimates that he will need 100,000 coins. Seeing that time is short, he decides to cultivate all his radishes to the elite grade and exchange them for a defense fairy for Chu Si, so he leaves home and heads towards the city center, determined to put his plan into action as quickly as possible. After an entire night transferring energy, he feels completely exhausted but relieved to have made it in time. He knows the market for spirit creatures can be dangerous, so he decides to act discreetly to avoid drawing attention. His cat Genius is on his head, and he asks if the kitty is sure he wants to go with him, to which the cat replies yes. At that moment, a bus pulled by a spiritual creature arrives, and the driver announces for the passengers to get on. The cat remarks that the vehicle is different from those he saw in books, and the boy explains that the creatures have replaced the machines. The driver then tells everyone to hold on tight, because they are about to leave for their destination. The creature begins to run at high speed through the city streets. The protagonist holds his cat tightly so it doesagayi te nevy. On the bus, a man tells Lin Yuan that it's his lucky day, and the boy asks if there's a new supply of creatures at the market. With this, the passenger explains that a dimensional rift opened a few days ago in the vicinity of Xia County. He says that it took the Redbud guards 2 days to eliminate the insects that came out of the crevice, but now the situation is under control. The man adds that there are still 3 teams of guards watching the area, and the protagonist becomes thoughtful upon hearing this information. A rift opened near a breeding ground for spirit creatures, injuring many of them, and the employees are now selling them on the market. At that moment, Genius the cat understands that this is how the armored pig that attacked them managed to escape. The passenger mentions that several pigs escaped and invites the young man to get off at the stop near the tent where they are. Arriving at the market, Lin Yuan walks through the crowd with his cat on his shoulder, ready to find a good deal. Then the cat asks which creature they need to buy and how much money they can spend at the moment. The protagonist replies that they need an elite defense creature that costs at least 100,000 federal coins. His companion complains that they're going to try to take advantage of them, and the young man realizes that some plants instinctively attract him. He realizes that his affinity lies with healing and support, while his sister Xiao Xi's affinity lies with defense. At that moment, his cat calls him over to see something interesting, and the boy turns to look. We see the cat haggling with a vendor over a creature, and the man makes a final offer of 60,000. The protagonist interrupts and apologizes to the salesman while his cat complains that he could have gotten the price he wanted. With a mischievous smile, the young man asks his companion if he has ever heard of comparing prices. He then examines a bonsai turtle of normal quality that can grow and protect its master from harm. The young man notices that the creature is not high level and moves very slowly, which would be a problem for training. Next, he sees an elite level shadow armadillo that curls up to block damage, but finds it too timid to protect his sister. While walking through the market, the cat suggests the hard-shelled rabbit, but Lin Yuan asks for more time to think it over. After searching everywhere, the protagonist says that this is the only defensive creature left on the market. He examines the Ramorn's sheep and discovers that it is an elite 7-level rock type sheep of perfect quality. The boy is impressed because the creature knows how to use the shock horn, a control ability that can paralyze the target. With a smile, he approaches the seller and offers 100,000 coins for the sheep, leaving the man surprised by the price. The salesman then puts down the newspaper and says he needs to call his wife before closing the deal. Meanwhile, the cat reprimands him, saying that the sheep costs at most 90,000 and that he needs to learn how to negotiate. The man hangs up the phone and says the final price is 120,000 coins, not a penny less, and the boy thinks it's too expensive. Disappointed, he doubts he'll find other defensive creatures, and his cat says that at worst, they'll pay extra for Xiao Xi. As he passed a meat stall, the butcher thanked everyone and said that the stock was finished, but someone asked about the wounded animals. The protagonist's eyes light up at the mention of wounded beasts, but his cat warns him that it's not the time to think about food. The stall owner says the animals inside won't be killed and invites anyone interested to take a look, as it's a bargain. The young man walks through the crowd, thinking there are no more bargains to be had, and wonders how anyone could cure those beasts. The boss says he arrived late, but the boy insists he wants to see the animals inside and notices the man doesn't look well. Thinking that he is different, the protagonist activates the calm mind ability of his bracelet to calm the salesman down. The man's expression softens and he smiles, gesturing for the boy to call him Brother Yang and follow him to see the beasts. Brother Yang shows 2 spiders that are spinning webs and explains that although they are in good shape, they won't last long. Analysis reveals that the spiders are of Elite 10 quality, but that if it weren't for the crack, they would be very valuable. The protagonist is thrilled because if they weren't injured, each one would be worth 300,000, but now together they are worth 150,000. With a glance, he tells Brother Yang that he wants the 2 spiders but proposes to exchange them for other creatures instead of money. The man is THIKING because he plans to open a new breeding center. With a confident smile, the protagonist asks if the man would accept fine green radishes as payment. The vendor questions the quality of the radishes, and the young man assures him they are excellent, inviting him to check them out for himself. Meanwhile, Brother Yang presents his latest creation, a rocky bowl, and the boy analyzes its attributes and becomes excited. His eyes gleaming, he asks the price and thinks that the creature is almost copper, level and perfect for his sister Xiao Si. The seller asks if he's sure because the bowl's condition isn't good, but the young man replies that it's incredible. So, the protagonist offers 200,000 coins for the bowl, and the man becomes suspicious of the offer. Brother Yang stares at him and asks if he can heal the bull or if there is a master of creation supporting him. Impressed, he asks if the boy wants the 3 creatures in exchange for the radishes, and the boy confirms. The young man smiles and assures Brother Yang that he will not be disappointed with the quality of his radishes. The vendor agrees and says he will check the radishes as soon as he finishes setting up his stall. The man then takes a fairy containment box to store the bull and the spiders. He throws the box towards the creatures, and Lin Yuan becomes curious to know what it is. The object turns out to be a patented invention by Ostrich Logistics for storing and transporting fairies. The cat complains that they've never had anything like this before, and the boy explains that they've never had the money to buy one. The box then sucks the bowl inside and safely stores it, showcasing its advanced technology. The cat is amazed by the size of the creature fitting inside the box, and the boy watches intently. Brother Yang laments that the containment box is at the bronze level and that the bowl will never have a chance to evolve. While they wait, the man proudly shows off his fire lizard with a tumor crown, a bronze-level creature. The vendor pets his lizard and asks if he didn't raise it well, leaving the protagonist impressed. Our hero approaches, wearing observation glasses, excited to have the rare opportunity to see a bronze-level fairy up close. Impressed, Brother Yang thinks that the boy is either naturally talented or has an expert guiding him. Suddenly, someone calls his name, and he turns around to see who it is. Another vendor complains that he scared his creatures with his fire lizard, and the man apologizes and leaves. He mounts his lizard with Lin Yuan on the back and tells the boy to hold on tight. The creature then runs at high speed through the streets, displaying its incredible strength and agility. The protagonist shouts that he is much faster than the donkey cart and calls for help, while the wind hits his face. They arrive at the boy's house, and the man remarks that he lives closer than he had imagined. Brother Yang laughs and says the young man has a really good physique, and the protagonist thanks him for the ride. From the inside, the vendor observes the place and thinks it doesn't look like the hideout of a master of creation. He decides that if the radishes don't meet the standards, he will separate friendship from business. Upon seeing the radishes, he is shocked by their elite quality and realizes that only a master of creation could produce such things. The guy explains that he added energy, or to the soil to improve the root system and quality. The man cuts a leaf and sees the abundant sap, confirming that the young man hadn't gone too far and that his luck might be changing. He remembers how difficult it is to obtain the help of a master of creation without offering celestial treasures. The seller realizes he has no way of obtaining such materials, but if he can connect with the young man, perhaps he has a chance. The protagonist asks if he is satisfied, and the man replies that he is, and that now they can talk about the price. Brother Yang explains that the radishes would sell for 30,000 each on the star web and offers 33,000 for 100 pots. The cat is shocked by the amount of money. With a smile, Lin Yuan accepts the offer without hesitation, as he desperately needs to improve his professional level. He thinks that with that amount of money, green radishes are the most convenient way to achieve his goal. Brother Yang observes the boy and suspects that the small shop and simple clothes are a disguise orchestrated by his supporters. He then asks the young man how many days he needs to prepare the order of radishes. The protagonist calmly replies that he needs 7 days because each vase takes an hour to make, and he needs time to deliver them and rest. The man cries tears of joy, believing his luck has finally turned around, and that this is a divine connection. The scene depicts the rocky bull and the green radish symbolizing the exchange they have just made. The young man tells the seller to come pick up the merchandise in 7 days, and the man asks if he doesn't want a deposit. Brother Young bids him farewell, and the protagonist accompanies him, thinking that the most difficult task of all now begins. In the backyard, he faces the rocky bull, preparing for the challenge ahead. Their pets ask if the creature will live with them, and complain that they can't feed it. He says they need to save her first, because she is very weak, and they need to hurry. The boy extends his hand, and a yellow energy begins to flow towards the bull to heal it. Energy envelops the creature, and it concentrates to accelerate the process and witness the result of its power. With a confident smile, he decides to intensify the healing to see how far his ability can go. He places his hand on the bull, and the energy intensifies, completely enveloping the creature. The young man is surprised by the reaction and wonders if this is the barrier to reaching the bronze level. Determined, he encourages the bull to hold on so they can break through the barrier together. With great effort, he releases a wave of energy and successfully breaks through the barrier. The protagonist looks at the creature with a satisfied expression, knowing that the effort was worthwhile. The bull evolves into a bronze-level iron bull with a rhinoceros horn, a steel-type normal quality form. He is shocked to discover that he can choose a unique trait for the creature. The protagonist ponders the 3 available characteristics and finds the decision difficult, since 2 of them are very good. He considers his options while the bulls run at high speed, demonstrating the usefulness of the trekking trait. The boy dismisses trekking as it's useless for a defensive fairy, and he needs something to help with protection. Next, he considers scale skin, which creates a layer of scales on the body, increasing defense. Pain absorption, on the other hand, converts some of the damage received into healing, making the creature more resilient. He chooses pain absorption because the fairy will become a tank that gets stronger the more it is hit. With his choice made, he imagines that the combination of pain absorption and rock horn will form an offensive shield. The young man smiled confidently, thinking that the creature would be perfect for his sister Xiao Sai, and that no one would dare approach her. With a serious look, he states that his sister's safety is the most important thing, and he doesn't care about appearances. He then looks at his cat and asks if the feline isn't a beast as well, which leaves him speechless. The protagonist realizes that his spiritual power has also increased and understands that the more the fairy evolves, the stronger he becomes. He reflects that if a high-level master of creation did this with celestial treasures, the result would be even better. At that moment, her cat asks how they are going to send the creature to Xiao Ci now that it has evolved. The guy explains that he used ostrich logistics to request a direct flight because they are in a hurry. He prepares to fly, and the sky fills with colors as a winged creature approaches. The scene changes to the Radiance Moon Palace, where someone is preparing a potion with rare ingredients. A creature hands the potion to a woman who tells her servant not to ask questions about what is happening. Inside the test tube, a piece of wood floats in the green liquid, emitting an aura. The potion begins to glow as a green energy manifests in the form of a flower. The woman then cuts her finger and leaves a drop of her fluid behind. The potion explodes in an overwhelming crimson energy enveloping a blonde-haired woman. The pressure is so strong that it forces the protective spiritual energy from a man observing the ritual. The blonde reveals herself to be a 5-star creation master called the Empress of the Moon. She tells Ling Xiao and Si Kong not to worry about what happened, because everything is under control. Si Kong thanks the Empress and summons a tiger-like creature so that she can evolve. The Moon Empress throws the potion at the creature, which swallows it and begins to glow intensely. The beast falls to the ground writhing in pain as the potion's energy transforms it from within. The Moon Empress explains that the creature's is evolving to the legendary level and that he needs to merge his will with hers. A green and white energy envelops the creature's head, which begins to transform into something new. The beast roars in pain as its body undergoes a complete metamorphosis, becoming more powerful. A white rabbit with a moon on its forehead observes the scene with disdain, displaying its superiority. The now evolved creature seems frightened by the rabbit's presence and cries softly. The Empress of the Moon talks about the Master of Creation exam and how difficult it is to select talent under the current rules. Si Kong asks if she means that this year's exam will allow consecutive level attempts. She explains that those who pass the level 1 exam in 2 hours can skip the professional exams and go straight to level 2. Si Kong accepts the order with a determined look, ready to announce the new exam rules. Ling Xiao questions the decision, saying that talented young people have difficulty understanding a single room. The Moon Empress claims it's a personal matter and that she can't fall behind her rivals. Ling Xiao realizes that the Moon Empress is looking for a disciple to train. The Moon Empress reminds Ling Xiao of his duties as Lord of the City and the importance of protecting Redbud City. Flying through the night skies, Lin Yuan and the pilot continue their journey atop a large winged creature. The pilot asks if the boy is all right and says that the flight will be smoother above the clouds. The man compliments the young man's beast of 100 questions, saying he would take it along if the journey weren't so burdensome. At home, the cat genius cries because he can't fly, while the protagonist tries to comfort him by promising a gift. The boy smiles and tells the pilot not to worry, because there will always be a next time for his cat to fly. The man warns that they have arrived and tells the young man to be careful not to be afraid of heights. They fly over a mountainous landscape, and the pilot comments that the view is famous near the city of Redbud. The protagonist is amazed by the experience and says it's something he's never seen before. Suddenly, he feels something condensing in his sea of the consciousness and realizes it is a rune of will. A chalkboard explains that the rune of will is the essence of an attribute that spiritual energy obtains. The boy understands that it is a rune that represents mountains and rivers and wonders what kind of fairies it applies to. The pilot asks if he is all right, and the young man replies that he is, but asks how much longer until they arrive. The man says they will probably arrive in the morning and explains that he slowed down because the young man was feeling nauseous. With determination, the protagonist tells the pilot to go full speed and not worry about him. Meanwhile, at school, the students are wondering why combat practice was brought forward. A girl explains that the practice was rescheduled for right after hiring a fairy. Xiaoxi wonders why the practice was brought forward, and a colleague beside her answers. The goal is to select Redbud's prodigies, and the resumes have been expedited. An instructor explains that the combat practice session will be for third-year and first-year students. A colleague approaches Xiaoxi and asks if she's really going to hire an armored beetle. With a confident look, Xiaoxi confirms that he will hire the gray armored beetle. She holds the beetle in her hand, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead. A creature advances at high speed, while a flying squirrel flees in terror from the battlefield. The instructor announces that the third-year student won the 8th game because the first-year fairy escaped. A student complains about the injustice of fighting against veterans and encourages Xiao Sai to show what she's capable of. The instructor calls the competitors from the 9th match to prepare for the next confrontation. A young man with blonde and black hair introduces himself with an arrogant smile, saying that he is ready. The students comment that he is Feng Lixing and that he is trying to join the Red Bud Prodigies. Feng Lixing reflects on how the news from the Union of Creation Masters favors him and on his ambitious plans. He mocks Xiao Sai for her choice of fairy and for her family's situation, thinking she has no chance. With determination, the girl holds her beetle and thinks that she will not give up, even with the difficulties. She turns to the instructor and says with a firm look that she is ready for departure. Suddenly her teacher appears, pulling a dog with yellow spots, and calls her by name. The mistress says she can't let the girl's talent go to waste and offers her elite grade dog. At that moment, a large shadow appears in the sky, and the girl turns around, surprised by the unexpected apparition. Her brother Lin Yuan arrives and thanks the teacher for her kindness, saying that he brought the fairy for his sister. He approaches Xiao Sai and hands her the containment box, saying that he arrived in time and that she should trust him. The teacher asks if the fairy is trustworthy and says that the dog is still an option, despite being stubborn. He laughs at the situation, and the girl stares at him, not understanding what's happening. With a serious look, Xiao Sai says that any fairy will do. Feng Lixing mocks Xiao Si, saying that it doesn't matter which fairy she chooses because none can defeat his. He summons his bronze-level, bug-type elite quality king beetle of power. The teacher is impressed by the beetle and comments that not even her dog could withstand a blow from it. Xiao Si asks her brother if the containment box is bronze level and if he sold the shop to buy it. Lin Yuan calms her down and tells her not to worry about it and to focus on what's ahead of her. She presses the button on the containment box and opens it with a determined look, saying that she will be okay. With the box in hand, she vows not to waste her brother's feelings and prepares for the contract. An intense light envelopes the girl and the creature as the contract is successfully established. The iron bull with rhinoceros horn appears on the battlefield, and she is surprised by its size. Feng Lixing scoffs at her impressive entrance and says she doesn't understand the importance of combat experience. The girl commands her bull to attack, and the creature charges forward with its horns ablaze, ready for battle. The teacher praises the bull and says that it is among the best defensive fairies of the bronze level. The two creatures collide in a powerful impact, but Xiao Si's bull recoils from the force of the blow. The opponent laughs at the girl's naivety and says that his fairy is only defensive and cannot attack recklessly. He prepares to demonstrate the true power of an offensive fairy and orders his beetle to attack. The creature charges forward with a powerful horn strike, and Xiao Si's bull prepares to defend itself. The girl supports her fairy and orders her to hold on tight as the blow approaches. The opponent complains about having missed by a small margin and realizes that Xiao Si has the talent to assist her fairy. The teacher sighs with relief and comments that the girl was hasty and needs more combat experience. Lin Yuan observes the scene and understands that his sister's attack was a tactical probe to test the opponent. Feng Lixing's beetle runs in circles around the bull while the audience wonders what Xiao Si's strategy is. But the boy smiles disdainfully, thinking that his offensive fairy is merely looking for the best opportunity for a fatal blow. The red creature continues circling the iron bull, and the girl's opponent begins to taunt her in a threatening tone. With its eyes glowing red, the beetle prepares to attack, and its master asks if the girl can imagine what is coming. In the blink of an eye, the red creature lunges forward with a devastating attack toward the young woman's iron bull. She defends herself after his advance, but even so, she wasn't going to give up this fight easily.